Hi everyone, my name is Rivka Lambert-Adler. I am the editor of a book called 10 from the Nations, Torah Awakening Among Non-Jews. And this is the first of what I hope will be a series of short videos that will introduce you to Torah concepts from an authentic Jewish perspective. I'd like to start today by talking about a concept that is so fundamental that it is very, very important that people from the nations understand the traditional Jewish approach to studying Torah, because there's some differences in the way that we address this, and it's important that we understand each other. So I want to say that when we teach our children, when we begin to teach our children Torah, from the very beginning, we introduce them to a concept we call in Hebrew Chumash with Rashi. What does that mean? Chumash is related to the Hebrew word chamesh, which means five. Five is the first 5 books of the Bible, the first 5 books of Moses, which according to traditional Torah is a reference. Traditional Torah thinking is a reference to the fact that the first 5 books of the Bible are the literal word of God. The rest of the Bible is also holy, but it was written by human hands, and the first 5 books of the Bible are God's words. They're all God's words, but they are literally God's words. And so that's how we introduce our children. But we introduce them to Chumash with Rashi, the first 5 books of the Bible with Rashi. What is Rashi? Rashi was the greatest commentator, biblical commentator from the Middle Ages that the Jewish people have ever known. And so from the very, very beginning, we do not study the Bible. We do not study Torah without rabbinic commentary. We believe that every biblical verse exists on multiple levels of understanding. So there is, of course, if you just read a biblical verse straight, the very first meaning that you can extract from that is the literal meaning, what we call in Hebrew the pshat, the basic fundamental meaning of the text. But if you thought that that was all that was in there, you'd be very mistaken and not enriched by the depth of what Torah actually offers. We believe that every Torah verse has multiple levels. For example, in the Hebrew word, sometimes there is an allusion to another Jewish concept that exists in another part of the Torah, that if you're only looking at the simple meaning of the text, you would miss that. There are interpretations, rabbinic interpretations that have come down to us through the millennia that are very much part of things. There is hidden mystical understandings of what these verses mean that you would also miss if all you were concentrating on was the literal meaning. And of course, I have to mention, even though you know this already, I have to mention the idea that the Torah was written in Hebrew, which means that anybody who's studying that's studying Torah verses, biblical verses, in a language other than Hebrew that they understand, they are going to miss stuff, because many of the ways of understanding Torah are based on Hebrew. For example, sometimes a word is used that isn't the word that you might ordinarily expect the Hebrew word that's chosen, and that's a good clue that God meant to say something in addition, because He didn't choose the commonly used word, or He didn't spell it the same way. Sometimes there are words that are missing a letter or have an extra letter, and that is significant, and you would only catch that obviously in the Hebrew. So it's very important to understand this concept, and I want to make sure that it's clear as we proceed that Torah studying Torah in an authentic way is based on this principle that the Bible is not exclusively literal. You cannot extract the full meaning of the Bible if all you're looking at is the simple meaning of the text. It's a very important distinction. I want to make sure that you understand. I hope that this was helpful, and I look forward to many, many more lessons together. Thanks so much for joining me.